What's going on, guys? It's your boy LQ. You see the face, you know the case. Is Mr. Real Deal Fantasy HQ bringing you the heat this week. Waiver wire pickups for week 8. God damn, we're flying through it. But thankfully, we're out of the bye-apocalypse, the hellhole week that we just got out of. I know a lot of losses went up, a lot of L's went on that board, but hey, we made it. Week 8, we are here. So let's get some guys that can be put into our rosters and possibly put up big points for us. So I don't want to waste any more time, so let's get right into the episode. Hey, make sure you guys hit that link in the bio. Check out prizepicks.com. Sign up using promo code FCO, and you guys will be set up for success. They'll match up to $100 on your deposit. Again, promo code FCO, and you'll be set up for success to bring home the gold. So link in the bio. Check it out right now. So let's get into these week 8 waiver wire pickups. First guy I want to talk about, it's a no-brainer. I've been talking about him for the last 5 weeks now. I mean, I feel as though you should have had him, but hey, if you didn't, 39% roster exposure, Kenneth Gainwell. Miles Sanders on the sideline, possibly to miss some time, dealing with an ankle injury, so Gainwell steps in as the RB1. I know we've seen Boston Scott, but I'll get to him in a second. But Gainwell comes in with that PPR upside that we all love. PPR formats, that is the new standard. So Gainwell comes in with a decent game coming off of week 7. A lot of targets out of that backfield. I feel as though moving forward, they're going to have to split up the roles between Scott and Gainwell, which was already happening with Sanders and basically Gainwell to begin with the first 7 weeks of the season. So I feel as though Gainwell comes in as a heavy used red zone guy, so therefore the touchdown upside is there as well. He had a receiving touchdown last week as well. I definitely feel as though they were neck and neck. Sanders and Gainwell were neck and neck in the red zone uses. I feel as though we're not looking for rushing attempts out of Gainwell, and neither were we looking for rushing attempts out of Sanders because, hey, we have Jalen Hurts with 13 attempts and 5 touchdowns in the red zone. So there's that. So we need to look for the guy who's going to be able to put up points in garbage time as well. So I think Gainwell is the guy. He's heavily used on the third downs as well. So it's obviously no-brainer that Gainwell will be used heavily moving forward. So the 39% roster exposure is way too low. So go get him now, right now. And really quick, I want to touch on Boston Scott. So I'm not rushing to the wire to go get him, but if you're in pain, if you're hurting very bad at running back, okay, it's fine. Go ahead and get a Boston Scott. But I'm not spending all my fab on him. I'm not using my number one waiver priority on him at all. Based on we've seen the first 7 weeks, we've seen Miles Sanders in that RB1 role basically suffer. We saw him suffer and disappoint us week after week. So Boston Scott coming in as a Miles Sanders, as the pure runner, it doesn't make sense to have the confidence to put him in our starting lineups. If there's other options out there, if you have other options on your bench, I will probably look that way because Boston Scott, yeah, he looks good on television. He looks great. He looks good in the game, but I think his usage is going to be very low. We're not going to see that many rushing attempts out of him when you got a Jalen Hurts or when you got a Gainwell catching passes out of the backfield. I feel as though if you need a Boston Scott, you're already in a bad situation. I just don't feel as though I have the confidence to put in my starting lineup. So I'm pumping the brakes on him. Not saying to go pick him up. Not saying, not to go pick him up. But, hey, do what you do with that information. I just don't have high expectations for a Boston Scott week to week. Now, next up, this might sound crazy, but Joe Flacco for the Superflex Leagues, guys. Why not? Go pick up a Joe Flacco if you're dealing with an underwhelming Winston, a guy who's getting benched in the fourth quarter, Sam Darnold. If you're dealing with an underwhelming Teddy Bridgewater, hey, why not go get a Joe Flacco, a veteran in that offense? The Jets have looked terrible for the last X amount of weeks, but Wilson's going to be missing time. They need a veteran there, and I think, Joe Flacco could be serviceable. I mean, if you're hurting that quarterback, which I hope you're not in Superflex, you should have got your guys, but if you're dealing with injuries like me, who drafted a Deshaun Watson and a Ryan Fitzpatrick, and, Herbert was on bye last week, so I had nobody in my starting lineup. I wish I had a Joe Flacco last week. But anyway, if you are in these situations, I feel as though Joe Flacco comes in. I think the only guy that gets the boost is Jameson Crowder. If we look at 2020, the 4 games him and Crowder played together with Joe Flacco as a starter, Jameson Crowder had 29 targets. So the volume was there. He had decent games. One game, he had 26 fantasy points. So therefore, I'm looking for Jameson Crowder to get that boost. So if he's available on the waiver wire, hell yeah, go pick him up. He's the only Jet to ever in history in fantasy that you need to be having on your roster. I definitely feel as though Jameson Crowder is a confident start with Joe Flacco, a veteran who could possibly move the ball downfield. We saw Joe Flacco last year air the ball out to Brashad Perriman, and it was great because we haven't seen a Sam Darnold even attempt to air the ball out in the Adam Gates offense. So, again, if you're at a hard spot or quarterbacks, Joe Flacco at the 0% roster exposure. But most importantly, if you read between the lines of what I'm really saying, if Jameson Crowder's still out there for you, go get him right now before it's too late. So let's get to the next guy. Now, this next guy, it seems like a trap. Davante Adams is on COVID reserve. So therefore, Allen Lazard steps up as the next guy to be vacated targets or whatever you want to call it. But it definitely feels like a trap. It doesn't feel right. Back-to-back games, he fell into the end zone. He's having a solid target share. I just don't know. I don't want to full send it, at least for me, but I am picking him up if I have a Davante Adams on my roster. I definitely need that guy that can fill in on the offense. I feel as though Allen Lazard is a nice little plug and play if you're missing Adams. I definitely feel as though with him finishing second back-to-back games and team targets, I definitely think, Allen Lazard can make an impact. I just need expectations here. Not here because you think you're filling in a Davante Adams workload. It's not how that works. So, targets are earned. So it could easily be a Robert Tonyan game. It could easily be, Aaron Jones as the wide receiver 2. So it's like I just would not want to go crazy on Allen Lazard, but he is a pickup. Definitely a pickup, if you're losing out on Adams. He's 11% roster exposure right now. So he's definitely out there. He's been cooking up. I can't lie. He's been looking good, back-to-back games. He's finally getting involved. He's gaining the trust, which is the most important thing in that offense when Aaron Rodgers is your quarterback, is trust. He's trusting Allen Lazard to make the plays, contested catches. He's not running into coverage like we usually see him do. But again, expectations need to be here and not here thinking he's going to have a Davante Adams game or even a Davante Adams target share. So please don't go too crazy. Just be relaxed, pump the brakes a little bit, have your expectations all in order. But again, 11% roster exposure. Pretty sure he's out there available for you, so go pick him up. Last but not least, Brandon Bolden for the Patriots. He's been cooking up as well. I definitely feel as though he is a nice pickup because he's filling in that James White role. And James White was always a guy that I had on my roster. I was getting into the later rounds. And he was a nice flex play when I had a bye week or even when he had a great matchup. So this week they have the Chargers. So obviously it's a great matchup for running backs going against the Chargers because they're giving up tons of yards on the ground and tons of yards through the air. So I definitely feel as though Bolden comes in as a nice little plug and play, being that he saw 7 targets, 6 catches last week, and he had a receiving touchdown. That is great numbers. That's great confidence, great momentum going into this week with a great matchup against the Chargers. So I'm looking for him to be a nice flex guy for me this week because I'm dealing with some running back issues as well. It's a little thin at running back, but I need a guy that's going to give me the PPR points. I already have Gainwell, so why not double up with a Brandon Bolden because I feel as though he's likely to see the end zone this week. Hey, so this wraps up another great episode of Real Deal Fantasy HQ. This was the Week 8 Waiver Wire Pickups. Make sure you guys hit that link in the bio. Check out the Real Deal Fantasy shop. Get yourself some merch. Get yourself some Wolfpack tees. Get yourself the RDF HQ tees. New designs are on the way, so be on the lookout. And also make sure you hit that link in the bio for prizepicks.com. Sign up today using promo code FCO, and they're matching up 100% to your first deposit up to $100. So please go do it right now. It's not too late. Week 8, let's get this money, bring home the gold, and I'll see you guys next week for another great episode of Real Deal Fantasy HQ with your boy LQ. Peace.